Good morning, everyone. My name is Anu, and welcome to our webinar, Tips to Kickstart Your Business Goals in 2025 with ISO certification. Thank you all for joining us today. I'll let you guys know, we'll get started in a couple of minutes, so we'll just sit tight and wait for everyone to join in the session. So yeah, I'll be with you guys in about a minute. All right, perfect. Looks like we have enough people who have joined us now, so happy to make a start. Um, if you missed the very beginning, hello, my name is Anu Varghese, and welcome to our webinar, Tips to Kickstart Your Business Goals in 2025 with ISO certification, presented by Citation Group. Now, before we deep dive into the presentation, I just want to give you all a quick heads up. If you have any questions during the webinar, at the bottom, you'll see there's a Q&A feature. We'll try and answer everything at the end of the presentation or as much as we can, but feel free to type your questions throughout the webinar. You don't have to wait till the end. Also, the webinar is recorded, so you'll be sent a recording link after the session, so don't need to worry about that at all. For today, though, looks like we've had quite a lot of people register, so which is fantastic, such a high attendance. But I'm assuming most of you are here because you're interested in learning more about ISO certification. So for today, what we'll cover off are the top 4 ISO standards that can drive efficiency, improve quality, and position your organization for success. So really glad you've all joined us today. And by the time you finish this webinar, hopefully you'll walk away with some useful information that will help you on your people management journey. So today, our webinar will be presented by Chris Condich. So Chris is our head of sales at Citation Certification and has extensive experience in business development and sales, spanning for over 15 years now. On the right, there's a funny looking fellow called Anu. I am a senior business development coordinator at Citation Group. I work directly with businesses to help them uncover any sort of gaps that they have on HR and safety processes and help them find solutions to streamline their people management. Okay. So for those of you that haven't attended one of our webinars in the past, here's a bit more information on who we are. So Citation Group has been around for over 30 years now, working to help Australian and New Zealand businesses with their workplace compliance solutions and overall helping create better workplaces. That goes from anything from outsourcing their HR solutions and safety management systems to ISO certification, workplace law, and migration. So Citation Group can really support your business with all of these things. So if you'd like to learn more about us, I'm happy to chat with you after today's webinar, and I'm sure we can work together on a bespoke solution for you. But for today's webinar, we'll be focusing on citation certification. So citation certification has around 30 years of experience and has helped thousands of successful organizations through the complexities of certification. So that's anything from ISO certification to NDIS compliance audits. And we also have training as well. So we can really be your certification partner. All right, that's it from me. It'll be my pleasure to pass it over to Chris now, who will take you through today's topic. And I hope you enjoy the webinar. I'll see you later on.
Thank you, Anu. I'm excited to be here, and thanks for that little sneak peek or snippet into the fabulous world of ISO certification on the previous slide. Well, I'm here today to talk to you about the tips to kickstart your business goals using ISO certification. And on the screen are just some of the agenda items or points that we're going to be going through today. We will be, how can I say it, laboring the point in that first section, understanding the right ISO standard for your business, and hopefully getting some tips to help strengthen your management practices, undertake your certification journey, and use certification to benefit your business. And as Anu mentioned, we will try to get to your questions at the end of today's session. So the first step in understanding the right ISO standard for your business lies in assessing your business needs. And there's a couple of questions that you may want to ask yourself to help you to do this. So, are you focused on improving quality or customer satisfaction? Then maybe quality management is the standard for you. Do you want to improve your environmental, I'll spit that out eventually, environmental impact and sustainability? If so, ISO 14000 may be the standard that you require. If employee safety and health is a major concern for your business, then you guessed it, ISO 45001 is the right standard for your business. Or if you're handling sensitive information and you need to enhance your data security, then ISO 27001 is what you'll be looking for. So it's also important to consider the industry that you are in. Different industries have different ISO standards or requirements designed for them. And some industries have specific certifications to address unique challenges or regulatory requirements. Each ISO standard will reduce risks in their own way, which we've outlined for you here on this slide. Some examples though, manufacturing and production very much use quality management to improve product quality and processes. Construction industry uses quality, environmental and health and safety. Technology or information security and businesses therein use ISO 27001 and quality, which are key. The healthcare sector uses a specific requirement for medical devices, which is the quality management in the medical device sector. And the food industry looks at food safety management systems, ensuring food safety and quality is undertaken. So the next step is to understand the key ISO standards based on your goals and industries. You can match them with the right ISO standards. Don't forget to analyze your long-term goals. So what do I mean by that? Think about your future plans and the kind of value you want to deliver to your customers and stakeholders, and we'll go into a bit more about that on the next slide. Anytime you can do a bit of research or understand the requirements in your situation or for your business is going to provide benefit. Some industries have regulatory requirements or customer expectations that require you to get specific certification to certain ISO standards. So make sure you look into the industry standards and best practices in your sector. Reach out to regulatory bodies and understand their certain certification requirements, or ask those key stakeholders. Yes, key stakeholders, you'll remember that because that is one section of most of the ISO standards that we are looking at here today. What do I mean by that? What are your clients? What are your partners or investors looking at? Another one may be to look at what are your competitors doing. There is help at hand. Consult with industry experts or, like us, certification bodies. If you're unsure which standard is best for your business, consider consulting with us to understand and get expert advice on which standards would be applicable, or Seek advice from an industry-specific professional or management system consultant who can guide you through the selection process. And lastly, evaluate your resources and capacity. So some of the ISO certifications, like quality management, are broad and can apply to any business, while others, like medical devices or ISO 13485, yes, very technical sounding name, requires very specialized knowledge and infrastructure to be applicable. So be realistic about your ability to implement the changes to meet the requirements of the standard that you have selected. ISO provides a range of standards for various aspects of business operations and industries. Among these, the following ISO management system standards are particularly popular, and they are the four that Anu mentioned at the outset of today's webinar. So I'm just going to take you through each of the four in very, very brief detail. And you can also read on the slides there, but ISO 9001, the quality management standard, is all about enhancing customer satisfaction and operational efficiency. It emphasizes continual improvement and meeting customer requirements. We move on to ISO 14001 for environmental management, which provides essential tools for any organisation seeking to manage its environmental responsibilities. The standard itself promotes a systematic approach to enhancing your environmental performance, fulfilling your compliance obligations, and achieving your environmental targets. Health and safety, or ISO 45001 as we call it, is designed to improve the employee health and safety, reduce your workplace risks, fulfill compliance obligations, and create a better and safer working condition for your workers. This standard specifies requirements for an occupational or workplace health and safety management system. And last but not least is information security. And this helps organizations make the information assets that they hold more secure, especially against cyber attacks, which we know are becoming more and more prevalent. The system itself provides or enables businesses of any size to manage the security of their assets, and this can include financial information, intellectual property, details or data about your employees, and any other personally identifiable information. So in summation, being able to match your goals with the right ISO standard. There are some things that we can do that we just talked about, but at the end of it, we need to align the appropriate certification with your business objectives. So in wrapping up this component, if you are looking to build a quality-driven culture, you would choose ISO 9001 quality management. If your business goal is to enhance your commitment to sustainability, then ISO 14001 is the standard for you. If your goal is to improve your employee safety, that's a no-brainer, health and safety management or ISO 45001. And if it's imperative that you safeguard the sensitive information that you hold, then ISO 27001 is the standard to you. Again, taking these steps will help you choose the right standard to ensure that it enhances your business operations, aligns with your goals, and adds value to the products and services that you are supplying. So what would a webinar with the title Tips to Kickstart Your Business Goals be without actually providing you with some tips? So we'll go through the next phase and provide some tips to strengthen your people management practices as it relates to the audit and certification process against some of the ISO standards that we've just discussed. But before we do that, back over to Anu.
Thanks, Chris. Great information so far. So Before we continue on, just want to pause here for a quick moment to share an exclusive offer as a thank you to you all for joining us today. If you're starting to think that ISO might be the right path for your business, we're offering everyone on today's call up to 20% off ISO certification with citation certification. So we'd love to be able to assist you in this journey. If you'd like to take advantage of this, simply scan the QR code that you're seeing there on your screen and fill an online form, and you'll get access to the offer. If you're on mobile as well, you can actually click on the link that we're dropping in the chat box below, and that will take you to the same page. We'll then be in contact with you as well. This is going to be a great opportunity to discuss your business compliance, understand if you have any glaring risks, and we can share our knowledge with you to get you on your way. I'll just give you guys a minute to scan the QR code and complete the form, and we'll get back into the presentation. All right, let's get back into the presentation. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Anu, for that. And we look forward to hearing everyone contacting us through the QR. Alrighty, so we were talking about tips to strengthen your people management processes or practices. A great way to start is to conduct a gap analysis. So there's no better way in understanding where you are and where you need to get to by evaluating your current practices and comparing them with the requirements of the ISO standard. This will help you identify the areas that need improvement before you set off on your certification journey. A gap analysis can often be done by your own internal team. Please see our website for fabulous downloadable resources on the ISO standards themselves, or you can get assistance from a consultant or a certification body like us. But please note, it will give you a clear starting point in your journey. I'm going to pause here because as soon as I put this slide up, there's always a bit of contention but engaging senior leadership early in the process and getting their buy-in is absolutely imperative. And for those of you who read a ISO standard before, there is an actual section or clause in there with it's related to executive management and or leadership of the organization. Top management must be committed to providing resources and leadership throughout the certification process, and this will be evident when we come to audit your organization. It goes without saying that any time there is people management practices, training your team is an absolute imperative. They actually must be conducted, especially in terms of quality management, process optimization, and documentation practices, depending on the standard that you are pursuing. My tip, make sure that you have documented your training that has been undertaken and a training calendar of events, etc. It will be something that auditors will look for. Throughout the certification process or any time you're looking to enhance or amend or change your processes and procedures, be sure to document it. The ISO standards require proper documentation to prove your compliance, and that's what getting audited and certified is all about. Showing evidence of conformance to a standard, and what better way to do that by showing us your documentation. So Please make sure that you have systems in place to record processes, improvements, your own internal audits, I'll spit that out eventually, and any customer feedback and customer interactions that you may have. I hope this one goes without saying, but the premise of the ISO standards as a framework is for continual improvement and to improve the operational efficiency of your business. My tip, if you're looking for something to assist in this regard, please consider things like the mechanism of plan, do, check, act, or PDCA cycle, as it's more affectionately known, to continually evaluate and improve your processes. We talked before about the conduct of internal audits, and that's about how you perceive your systems meeting the ISO requirements. Audits should be planned and executed regularly to ensure that you've got and identified any non-compliance or areas for improvement. And that is ostensibly where you can use, what you can use to adjust and improve the processes internally where necessary. My tip, make sure you note your internal audit process or review or timing, because this will be something that is, again, looked at by the auditors. If you say you're going to audit once a month, once a year, once every 6 months, make sure that you've got the evidence to show that you've completed those internal audits. Well, you would have thought this was a necessary slide coming from the head of sales for citation certification, but engaging a certification body, the earlier, the better, which is my tip. The better the planning and usually the result is reflected in the earlier that you engage with us. Just to consider factors like the industry that you operate in, your location, our auditor competencies and availabilities will all impact the timing and ostensibly the successful award of your certification. So when addressing those business goals and matching your certification standards with those, make sure that you are setting clear timelines and an end date for you to achieve certification. Engage with us early so that we can make sure that we help you meet those requirements. So we'll move just further into it. We've ostensibly got you to the point where you're considering your certification journey, you've matched your standards to your business goals, and you've developed and implemented a system to help you get there. Some of the key tips here with respect to each of the phases: be ready for the certification audit. There is nothing we like more than having a customer who has all the information and evidence ready at their fingertips prior to the audit. They've conducted their internal audits. They understand their inadequacies. They've addressed it. They've got some things to show. And be transparent with your auditors and address any issues promptly. The more upfront you are, the easier it is for us to conduct the audit, and the better off it's going to be for you in the long run. So moving from there, what now? You've completed your certification audit and you've got a lovely, shiny new certificate. So what do you do with it? We certainly would recommend that you celebrate and use the certification to market your business or tell everyone that you do things in a certain way. And effectively, that is what a certificate actually is. It's you telling everyone out there in the world that you do things in a certain way and in accordance with a particular standard. So don't be afraid to promote your certification. Tell your customers, put it on your website, business cards if you still do that type of thing, probably not those who are doing environmental. put it on your website, put it on your cars, buses, trains, and tell the world that you do things that way and you've been successful. We talked about it before with regards to the continual improvement aspect of the standards. All of the standards have a continuous improvement section built into them. And so ensuring that this is maintained and that you have a focus on getting better and better and better each year, and not just an exercise of we're waiting for the auditors come out because we're due for them to visit and we'll hastily put things back together since the last time they saw us. So continual improvement is not a one-time event. It is, as it reads in the name, it is a continuous cycle. We talked about before about the internal audits being one of the key ways that you can ensure that you're looking at ways to continually improve your business. So I did touch on it briefly about the last section here, which is maintaining your compliance and preparing for your next round, what we call surveillance audits at regular intervals, usually each year around about the anniversary of your certification award. So be upfront. We will guide you along the way about expectations of when they will occur and what you can expect. Don't be scared. They're never as big and as scary as the initial certification audit, but please make sure that you are well prepared for these audits as well. So if you're having trouble selling it to the management or getting buy-in from the business to start your journey and matching it to your business goals, we've just highlighted some of the benefits of ISO certification for your business, and you can choose the ones that will be relevant to your organization based on your goals and the selection of standards. And by taking these steps and committing to the process, you can position your business for growth, greater efficiency, and, as we mentioned before, greater credibility in the market. So because you've been so intent on listening and taking time out of your day to hear what we have to say, I'll hand you back over to Anu for a quick revisit of our special offer.
Thanks, Chris. Look, we're pretty much ready to start jumping into some questions after this as well. But before we get started on answering the questions, again, just want to remind you that we're offering up to 20% off ISO certification for everyone on this call today. So to take advantage of this offer, scan that QR code on the screen and fill in the online form on our landing page. If you're on mobile, again, you can click on the link in the chat box below. And I'll give you another minute for those who weren't able to do it earlier to fill out that form, and we'll get stuck into the Q&A component of this presentation. All right. So thank you all for sending your questions through. I noticed a few coming through throughout the presentation and some still coming through now. So I'm not sure if we'll get time to answer everything today, but if we don't, that's fine. We're more than happy to talk to you offline and we'll be in touch after the webinar as well. But we'll go through as many as possible. Just looking at question one. How long does the certification process take?
Sounds like a very good question, Anu, and one that I'm unfortunately not going to give a very, very specific answer to. Look, the timeline varies depending on a lot of things, the size of business, the complexity of what you do, so your processes, how well you align with the ISO standard. But look, if I was to give you a specific time frame, it takes at least anywhere between 3 to 12 months to prepare for the end culmination, which is the audit and certification. So that's, from your gap analysis to conducting your changes, further development and implementation of your system, training of your staff, and then actually going through the audit process. But it will be unique to every organization. So feel free to reach out and see if we can help you with a bit of a timeline to understand it better. That being said, if you do have a specific timeline in mind, i.e. we need to get certified by the end of the financial year, well then let's talk about what steps need to be put in place to ensure you can meet those goals.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Another question here. How much does it cost?
You're asking the sales manager. I'm going to say not enough. No, that's a terrible joke. Again, fortunately, I know I can't give a definitive answer because it's going to be unique for everyone. Similarly to what I just mentioned about before, how long it takes, the cost is associated with the size and complexity of the business that we'll be auditing. The selection of the certification body may impact that as well, and the activities or the scope of the certification that you're undertaking. So look, depending on the standard or number of standards that your system is built to meet, you could be looking at anywhere between $5,000 and $20,000 for your initial certification. And don't forget, there is an ongoing cost to your audit and certification needs. Please note that that doesn't include the time and energy from an internal resourcing, training, external consultants, etc., that needs to culminate for your system to be ready for your certification audit. That being said, I think the best way, Anu, would be to contact us directly and get a very, very, very definitive quote on what your audit and certification costs would be based on your requirements and standards.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Next question. Are there any challenges in getting ISO certified?
Again, a wonderful question. Yes. Well, obviously there are, and are there ways to overcome it? So look, every organization will have different challenges in getting certified. At the end of the day, I don't want to paint too rosy a picture, but at the end of the day, we are here as an audit body and a certification body to find evidence of compliance that your system meets the standard, and you do things the way that you're going to, do things in the way in with which you've told us you're going to do them. So the easy part's for us to do, the hard part is for you. And some of the common challenges that usually get raised from our customers are resistance to change is one. So that's whether that's employees or from management. I know a process needs to change because it needs to meet a standard. How do I manage that change, and how do I ensure that everyone's towing the line to do that? Probably the most common one we see is documentation overload. Having myriads of documentation to address certain aspects of the standard, but it not actually providing any benefit or putting in documents, policies and procedures for no real point, just to meet a standard, rather than that is in the way in with which we do business. So I would definitely say for businesses in that aspect, your system and documentation only needs to be as complex as your business needs to be. Probably the last couple of things I touch on, just ensuring that you allow adequate time, energy, resourcing, and budget to look at your systems in getting them ready for audit and certification. And again, ensuring that there's that adequate time and energy spent in maintaining your certification, as we discussed earlier. I hope that answers that question, Anu.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Very detailed. Next question here is how will certification help me grow my business?
Well, the good news is I think we gave a little tip earlier on about making sure that we're able to tell everyone that businesses are certified and what that means to them. What I can say is that ISO certification and ISO, for those of you, if I've jumped into acronyms too early, International Standardization Organization, yes, international being the main point, is globally recognized as a mark of quality, reliability, and adherence to best practice. So what can it do and how can it help you grow your business, build trust with your customers and your stakeholders? Yeah, that's one thing. Stakeholder engagement is part of the standards. So it actually asks you to do it consider it when you are looking to get certified. We talked about the marketing aspect before, improving your competitive advantage. So if you have it and your competitors don't, or being able to tell people that you do certain things in a certain way and living and breathing that will help you. Just being able to get into the ballpark, Anu, by meeting the requirements to operate in your industry or meet the regulatory requirements that you have to adhere to, or and we do get a lot of customers asking, I'm looking to enter a new market. I want to be able to tender. And you will see increasingly more and more and more organizations when they're through their procurement process requesting certification to particular ISO standards that align with their business practices. And you will see that even more so in all levels of government, now mandating that if they do request a certification, that it is a JASANS accredited certification. So that's just another tip there for you as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've probably only got time for one more question given the time. I did see this one come up a couple of times, so we'll go with this. Can I get ISO certified if I'm a small business?
Easiest question for last, Anu. Thank you for everyone who asked it. The answer is yes. Anyone can get ISO certified. It's not just for big business. Small to medium businesses very much can benefit from certification just as much, probably actually even more, helping you streamline your processes, improve your efficiency, and build that credibility that we talked about with your customers. It might actually be simpler for smaller businesses. Your system that you develop and implement only needs to be as complex as what it is that you do. So all in all, if you're a small business, you should be fairly well, non-complex, I think is the word I'm looking for. So hopefully that makes for a lot better audit experience, and you can reap the rewards or benefits of becoming ISO certified.
That's great. Great news. All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Chris, for all the fantastic information as well. Again, just a reminder, like I mentioned at the start, look out for our email with the recording of this webinar. If you need to watch it again, or as Chris mentioned, share it with any senior stakeholders who need to get involved in this discussion, feel free to do so. And yes, please get in touch with us if you'd like to discuss your workplace compliance further. We'd be more than happy to assist. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Anu. Thanks everyone for listening, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Citation Group information webinar.